slow on the ghost front lately. Again, he is off doing his own thing, completely ignoring me. Rude. But whatever, you know. So we're not going to talk about ghosts and Brandon today. Today I thought I would finally divulge into my one and only alien experience, which I know sounds just as crazy as all the other shit I talk about, but it happened. Now, full disclosure, I will say the night this happened, I was drinking, but hold on, like, I've drank before, right? You don't hallucinate when you drink. It was just like Captain Morgan. I've never had a freaking, I've never had like a trip on Captain Morgan, right? So I kind of feel like that part of the story is irrelevant because, so what? I was drunk and I was also asleep. And then I woke up, but it wasn't a dream. So I wanted to get those things out of the way because I know those are typically the kind of things that people would say, oh, okay, so you're drunk and you're sleeping and this happened. No, I'll get into it. So this happened in about 2010 in Wisconsin on the lake house, the one that was like the most paranormal place I'd ever lived. Side note, I also saw a Bigfoot's there, which... no, I didn't. See, I see these things, and I know it's crazy, so I dismiss it. But the alien thing happened in a like an hour, 2 hour time span. So it wasn't just some real quick thing. 2010, roughly January, February. I don't remember. Something in my memory recall tells me it was New Year's Eve because we had people over. We had drinks, they went home, I went to bed. Probably around midnight, 1 o'clock. And I pulled a bunch of the pictures of the house from like old, whatever. And through amazing high-tech editing, I have inserted little like pictures to kind of give a full idea of what I'm talking about because, I'm crafty. So... this was a tri-level house on the lake in mid-Wisconsin. And it had, so the lake, it was like up on a hill. So there were different levels of steps to get up to the back of the house, which I will show you. As you can see, there's like one long, and then the steps up to the deck. The bottom level is the first level with the arch. So the third level obviously was the bedroom, and the whole back of the house was basically windows, so you could see the lake. I slept with the curtains open because it's nice when if you live somewhere that's scenic, you're gonna want to wake up and look at the lake when it's beautiful. So like I said, we were drinking. I went to bed, like not that drunk either, like I'm not pass out stumbly drunk, I'm just like good drunk. So I went to bed. I think Joe was downstairs sleeping on the couch, or like I think he had just stayed up and then ended up falling asleep on the couch, so he wasn't there. I wake up, like I said, I want to say this was like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning time frame, and I went to sleep. I don't know how much time had passed from the time I went to sleep to whatever woke me up, but my bed faced, like I said, the big window that overlooked the lake, and it was a big picturesque window. I also have pictures of that, and you can't really tell because there's like a big plant. This is when we first moved into the house, so that plant wasn't there, but it was a large window. Anyway, so I wake up and I had the TV on because a lot of times I like to sleep with the TV on just for like background ambiance. And so it wasn't pitch black in my room, it just the light from the TV was on. And again, like I said in my last story, like when something startles me awake, I don't open my eyes right away because I'm terrified of what I'm going to see. I don't know how to describe the fear I felt. Like I'm dead asleep, and all of a sudden I'm like shocked awake, or like in a second. Like I didn't even feel myself like coming out of sleep. It was like I was very aware, and I didn't have my eyes open because I felt something was very, 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 very wrong. So I'm laying there, afraid to open my eyes for a really long time. And of course, my heart is pounding. I'm wide awake at this point, but my eyes are still closed. And I felt just terrified, absolutely almost paralyzed with fear, with how scared I was, and I didn't know why. So I finally open my eyes, and I sleep on my side. So I'm facing the TV, and I'm kind of like looking around, pretty much waiting for some sort of demon or something to just be like, hey, the way they do. So I open my eyes. The room is filled with the light from the TV. Everything is fine. And I'm kind of like rolling over to take stock. Like maybe it's behind me. I don't know. When I roll over and I look out the window, which my curtains are open, and I see this gigantic ball of light over the lake. So it was directly in front of me. So if I'm laying here, it was straight, like in line with me, but in the middle of the lake, and probably, I don't know, like 50, 60 feet up in the air. I don't know. But it was huge. For as far away as it was, it should have been not that big. And I'm not into aliens. I've never been interested in aliens in the like if they exist, cool. If they don't, whatever. Like I don't really care. And I don't put any stock or thought into aliens at all. But it's like as soon as I looked at it, my heart just about jumped out of my chest because I was like, that is a UFO. For a fact, that is a UFO. And immediately I became just very, very aware that it was looking back at me. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I felt that however many eyes were in that craft were focused on me. Like, it could see me. It wasn't just surveying the other homes around, or, like maybe it was, but it was aware of me. And I had that very distinct feeling. I'm afraid to move. I'm afraid to get out of bed. I'm afraid to do anything because I don't know what it wants. So I'm watching it, and it does look like it's getting bigger, like it's coming towards me. Not quickly, though. And the longer I watched it, it was weird how it seemed like it was coming at me, like closer towards me for a really long time, but both looking like it's getting bigger, but not at the same time. I don't know how to describe it. And of course, I'm thinking, well, I've been staring at this thing for a good couple minutes. Obviously, my mind is playing tricks on me, and it just looks like it's moving or getting bigger, just like how your eyes do. Finally, after, like I said, a good 5-10 minutes, I muster up the courage and I dart out of bed and I run downstairs and I find Joe. He is passed out on the couch in front of the TV. And again, the lower level in the living room kitchen area also had a large, huge window, like the whole wall was a window, basically overlooking the lake. So as I get down there, I kind of look again, like, is it still there? And it was. So I wake up Joe. He had been drinking too. And so he was, passed out from being like a little drunk, and mind you, this again, even though we had been drinking, this happened after we had fell asleep and woke back up. So I don't know about you, but when I drink, when I go to sleep and wake up, like my mind is clear. I'm like no longer drunk, unless I drink way too. Never mind. We won't get into that. So I wake him up and I'm like, Joe, get up, get up. And he's like, what? You're like, well, oh, you want me to come up to bed or something? And I'm like, Ah, Jesus. Please understand that he is and was very used to my bullshit. And so I tell him, there's a UFO. And he like, what? Like, because I'm always saying some crazy shit, right? And he never believes it anyway. So UFO was a brand new one though. So I think this should have alerted him because this is a different situation. This should be like, oh shit, we're off the ghost shit. Oh, okay. So now we got UFOs. Like, let's check this out. That's how I perceive it, but whatever. Like, whatever. So he wakes up. I'm like, there's a UFO. Like, get up. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? And I point out the window and I'm like, it's right there. Like, check it out. It's a fucking UFO. And he kind of like did this weird thing where he like groggily gets up and kind of wanders over. He looks at it like, okay, whatever, bullshit. And he stops and his eyes kind of like widen for a minute. Like in that split second, he actually believed me about something. And then of course it has to go right back into rationality. And it's, that's probably like weather balloon at 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. Or airplane or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought too. But look, it's getting closer. And so he's kind of looking at it and we're standing at the window, just staring at this thing. And I'm like, doesn't it look like it's like coming towards us? It's getting bigger. And he's like, yeah, it does. See, like, I'm not crazy. That's a UFO. Fact. He's like, no. Okay, fine. Like, you get abducted, not me, because I'm the one sitting here trying to let you know you're about to get abducted, not me. Like, so we're both staring at it. We're both looking at it for a long time, and he's like, yeah, it does look like it's getting closer, but for as long as it looks like it's getting closer to us, it's not getting closer to us. I'm like, I know, it's super weird, right? So a couple years prior to this, my dad had sent me a telescope for like a birthday or something, which was conveniently next to the Chase Lounge thing in the living room. Because we did have this large outdoor deck, which you could look up the stars and stuff. So we get the telescope out, putting it together, whatever, and we're still in the house at this point. And he's got the telescope focused and we're like looking at it. And he keeps like finding it, but then it like moves out of frame without like moving in real, like I'm sure it is slightly moving in the sky, but from in the naked eye, it doesn't look like it's moved at all. But once he would get it like framed up, it would look like it would just move. Well, we got a few really good glimpses of it a couple times. And it was hard to really see any detail because its initial light or whatever was so bright. But we did see like 3 lights in the middle. So if it was like this big glowy ball thing that was emanating like a whole bunch of light, and then like when you would like focus, you could see 3 lights within the middle of the sphere. And so now I think he's starting to kind of believe me more. He's like, what is that? What is that? I'm like, I already told you, it's UFO. I don't know why we're having this discussion. So we keep looking at it, keep trying to find it. It keeps moving. This whole thing keeps going on. And he's like, well, I'm going to go outside and see if I can't get a better look, like out on the deck. No, I think this is a bad idea. I'm not cool with like being in its element. Like that thing is outside. I don't want to be outside with it. Like that somehow this, 118-year-old home is going to protect me. I just don't want no part of it. But he, of course, he doesn't believe a goddamn thing I say. So he goes outside, takes the telescope with him. He sets it, he's like getting it all proportioned. Again, the big picture window is right in front of me. And I'm standing there. And I become really, really uneasy. Like, not that I was cool with the aliens thus far. Like, I wasn't okay with them. But just all of a sudden, and he's already outside on the deck, like, looking and doing all this stuff. So I'm standing, like back against kind of like the wall, kind of looking out the window. The whole scope of the situation. I can see everything. And I see him. He's over here looking at the telescope, completely focused, like not even paying attention to anything else. Okay. I swear to God, this is true. I swear to whoever, I swear to the universe, like whoever the hell is out there. I swear to the damn aliens, because I guess they're real too. As I'm watching this man fumbling around with a telescope out on the deck, I see movement out of the corner of my eye on this side. So he's standing here, and I see a little bit of movement like this. Coming up the stairs from the bottom, like where you would go down to the lake, the first set of stairs, and then the second set of stairs up to the deck, I saw an alien. A straight up alien. Now, I did consider that I was hallucinating, like play of shadow and light. The thing is, as soon as the movement caught my attention, I looked at it and I was facing it. It wasn't like I just saw it out of the corner of my eye real quick, or he moved by, or you know what I mean? Like, I saw him, I looked at him, and I continued to look at him. And I just, and so he was coming up the stairs. It was weird because it was like he knew that I knew he was there. He wasn't bothered. You know how people like always talk about like communicating telepathically with these things? It wasn't necessarily like that. It wasn't like I could hear words or whatever. It was just more of a feeling, or like knowing his intentions or whatever. I knew he wasn't bothered, like totally not bothered by us. I knew that he knew I saw him and he didn't care. I knew that he knew Joe wasn't going to see him because Joe was so focused. Even though, I mean, if this was, okay, like let's say this was the deck. If Joe was standing like right here looking out the, into the space, the alien was walking up the stairs like this and literally walked right past him. I mean, there's a good, I don't know, 10 to 12 feet in between. But all he would have had to do is just turn his head and he would have seen him too. He would have been directly in line with this thing. So it kept walking like up the stairs, and then that porch kind of wraps around. So, and then there's a door there, like with a glass, like that whole area, it's all glass. So you can see all the way around you basically. And he just walked and he kept walking. He walked past the door and I was watching him. I was like, not obnoxiously so. I wasn't like, just like staring at him, but the feeling I got was like he was just kind of checking stuff out. Like, maybe they were up there and they saw us with the telescope and they were like, hey, Bill, just go check them out. Just go see what they're doing down there. Make sure they don't have like cameras or anything. Because I did have a very distinctive feeling not to take a picture in a way. Like, when I was still laying in bed looking at the ball of light at that point, my phone is always right next to me on the side table. And of course, whenever stuff like this happens, the first thing I think is like, oh, video evidence, like duh, although at the time I was rocking a sidekick and the picture would have been shit anyway. So I knew, like, as soon as the thought entered my head to like get my camera, or even when I came downstairs to bring the phone with me so I could take pictures, as soon as the thought entered my head, it was like, don't do it. Just like, bad things will happen. Like, just do not. Okay, so I didn't. And that's why I didn't take any pictures, because as soon as the thought entered my head, like, I knew, just don't. And I don't know what would have happened. I know, just don't, right? So the alien walks past the door and disappears into the brush. And there's no reason for him to be there. There really isn't, because if they are in the middle of the lake, like 60 feet up in the air, and they needed to like beam someone down to get to the front of my house, like they could have beamed him to the front of the house. Like he didn't have to walk, but he did. So I just really, really, really had the feeling that he was there to check on things, or not necessarily to like, I don't know, let me know that it's real, or that, like, it wasn't about me. Like, I know, shocking, it wasn't about me. But whatever he was doing down there, it was just kind of like to survey, I guess. I don't know. But I knew he knew I saw him. And he was cool with it. Like, he didn't care. Just as long as I didn't make any sudden moves kind of thing. Like, we're cool together, right? And I knew he knew that Joe did not and would not see him. It was almost like maybe he had like a block on him. So, I don't know. Here's the thing, too. What did he look like? Well, he looked exactly like they do on TV. And that makes me think, okay, so if my brain is filling in something happening, or if I'm hallucinating, or if it is just a play of trick of lights and shadows from like this super bright thing and the moon and everything else, and like the forest is like whatever, if my brain is conjuring up a opaque being with detail and walking past me for a good 10-15 seconds as I'm looking directly at it, wouldn't my brain then, of course, make it look like how my brain would assume it would look from everything I've seen on TV? Or do they look the way they do on TV because that's just how they actually look? Like, is it the chicken or the egg? Like, what came first kind of thing, right? The weird thing is, it was both larger and smaller than I thought it would be. So whenever you see aliens on TV or whatever, they're all super, super tiny. They're like 3.5 foot. Like, they look really small. This guy was roughly, just a little shorter than me. I'm 5'2". And it might have been like 4'11", 5 foot. Like, it was smaller than me, but not by much. It was about my size, which seemed bigger than I would have thought that they would have been. And it was also more proportionate. So also on TV, they look like really, really, really emaciated with these big heads. Its body and head was, its body was proportionate. It wasn't like super skinny. It was almost kind of buff. Like, it almost looked like it did not skip chest day. And I didn't see its hands so much because it was kind of like walking and like swinging its hands, but the arms were very long and thin, but its body, its torso was thicker than they look on TV or whatever, and its head wasn't way too big for its body. Its head was still bigger in relation to ours, but it was far more proportionate. It was almost more humanoid than they are usually depicted, but it was gray. With the big black eyes and like the little slit mouth, bald, and I don't know. So it walks by and disappears to the front of the house or wherever he was going. I don't know where he was going. And I slowly turn to Joe, because I don't know if he's alone. I don't know if, like, while I'm sitting here watching, like, they're abducting him, like, to do whatever they do. So as soon as he disappears from my sight, I turn and I look at Joe, and he's still fiddling with the thing, and he's like, hey, come here. And I'm like, no. And he's like, what? Because, we're through the glass, right? And he's like, come here. And I'm just like, no. You come here now. Now, to get back into the house, he would have had to walk around to the door that the alien just walked by. And past the door, I can't see, there's no window. So for all I know, that alien is just chilling by the door waiting to pounce. Like, I don't know what's happening. Of course, my brain is inventing all the things that could be happening. But I'm like, you need to get inside. Like, get inside. And he's like, okay, what? He gets inside, and I'm like, dude. He's like, what? I'm like, did you see it? Did you tell me you saw it? See what? Okay, cool. So I'm the crazy one. Again, great. He's like, see what? And I tell him the whole thing, and he's like, yeah, right. Like, he didn't believe me. He's like, you're trying to tell me an alien walked directly past me, like 10 feet away, and I just so happened to not see it. Yes. Yeah, those are the words I am saying to you. Yes. Like, he's like, well, then where did it go? I don't know. I'm not his secretary. I'm not doing his docket. Like, I don't know. Maybe you should go out there and look. And he's like, nah. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm full of shit, but you ain't gonna go look for him, right? Because I'm so full of shit. Whatever. So that was pretty much that. We stayed up the rest of the night until the sun came up. I personally, because I was terrified. I think he was a little scared too, just because like we didn't know what the craft was about, and it stayed there for a really 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 long time until like it just started to look like it was kind of disappearing, like maybe it was like leaving, but it didn't